what are Labubo dolls? Are they Illuminati or demonic, or are people making a big deal out of nothing? The last one will blow your mind. It was a rainy Thursday when Megan wandered into a tiny secondhand boutique tucked into a forgotten alley of Portland's Hawthorne district. She had a few minutes to spare before picking her daughter up from preschool and was just looking to browse. The store smelled of cedar, dust, and dried lavender, strangely comforting. Near the back, nestled between two chipped porcelain dolls, was a peculiar little figure. It had a large head, shaggy fur, oversized ears, and wide, mischievous eyes. A Labubo doll. Megan had seen them online, quirky, collectible, and oddly cute. But this one felt different. Its fur was slightly matted, the smile crooked. Still, something about it was endearing. Her 4-year-old daughter Lily loved weird-looking toys, so Megan bought it for $5, wrapped it in paper, and forgot about it until Lily unwrapped it that evening and named it Labubo on the spot. Megan didn't think much of it. That would change in less than a week. For the first few days, Lily was obsessed. She carried Labubo everywhere in the car, to the dinner table, even to bed. Megan smiled at her daughter's enthusiasm, though she found the doll unnerving. It always seemed to be staring, no matter where it was placed. Still, kids attach to strange things all the time. On the fourth night, Megan was curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone when the baby monitor crackled. She leaned closer, static, then giggling. She smiled. Lily was probably talking to Labubo again. But then came a voice. Not Lily's, and not a cartoon playing in the background. The voice was older, soft, female familiar. It whispered something that made Megan's spine stiffen. "Tell mommy we're not alone anymore." The monitor buzzed again. Silence. She rushed into Lily's room. Her daughter was asleep, Labubo clutched tight against her chest. The doll's smile looked a little wider than before. Megan didn't sleep that night. The next morning over breakfast, Megan gently asked Lily about the voice she'd heard. Without hesitation, Lily looked up from her cereal and said, "That was Labubo. She talks to me when I'm sleepy." Megan forced a smile. "What does Labubo say?" "She sings me songs," Lily replied. "And sometimes she tells me what you said when I was a baby, like when you sang about the stars." Megan's heart dropped. That lullaby, "Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight," was one she used to hum when Lily was just a few months old, rocking her to sleep at 3 a.m. She hadn't sung it in years, and certainly never in front of Lily since she could remember. Still, that afternoon, Megan placed Labubo on the shelf in the living room out of reach. Lily didn't complain. In fact, she seemed relieved. That night, Megan had just fallen into a light sleep when the baby monitor let out a sharp burst of static. She sat in bed, heart pounding. Then came a faint whisper singing, "Starlight, star bright." It was her voice, her exact tone. But she wasn't speaking. Frozen, Megan stared at the monitor screen. Lily lay asleep in bed, curled under her blanket. But the camera had shifted slightly, no longer focused dead center. Just barely, Megan could see the shelf in the corner, where Labubo had been left. It was empty. She ran to Lily's room. Lily stirred but didn't wake. Labubo was back in bed, tucked under Lily's arm, and the air in the room was cold. Too cold. As Megan poured Lily's cereal the next morning, her daughter casually asked, "Mommy, why did you wake me up last night?" Megan paused. "What do you mean, sweetie? I didn't wake you." Lily frowned. "But I heard you. You said the star song again. And you told Labubo that you missed singing it." Goosebumps crawled up Megan's arms. She knelt beside Lily. "When did you hear that?" "In the night," Lily said simply, "when Labubo was cold. You came in and sang to her. I was still asleep, but I heard you." That night, Megan didn't just leave Labubo on the shelf. She locked it in the hallway closet, buried under towels and old linens, and shut the door tight. At exactly 2:14 a.m., she heard it, the sound of a door unlatching. The hallway closet. She sat up instantly. Then came soft footsteps. Not adult-sized, not heavy, delicate, uneven, like small plush feet dragging slightly over wood floors. She grabbed her phone, switched on the flashlight, and crept into the hallway. The closet door was wide open. Towels were scattered, and on top of the pile was Labubo, sitting upright, smiling, staring straight at her. Megan had had enough. The next day, she drove Labubo to a remote dumpster and hurled it in, wrapped in 2 garbage bags. Done. That night, she tucked Lily into bed with a new stuffed animal. But when she opened the door the next morning to grab the paper, there was Labubo, sitting on the welcome mat, smiling. Megan didn't scream. She didn't panic. She just stared. That night, she posted online, desperate for answers. A user replied, "Did it whisper in your voice yet? Don't burn it. Don't bury it. Just don't feed it attention." What did that mean? She didn't reply. She just shut off her phone. She moved to her sister's house that night. Lily hasn't asked about Labubu since, but sometimes at 2:14 a.m. she still hums the Star song in her sleep. Darren Myers was a regional sales rep, just another guy with a clipboard and a company credit card. He wasn't the type to believe in ghosts or haunted objects. At 46, he had spent half his adult life on the road, jumping from motels to cheap hotels across the Midwest. He had a system: check in, inspect for bedbugs, order takeout, crash by 10. And that system had worked fine for nearly 20 years. Until October 9th, 2022. That night, his tire blew out on a long stretch of Route 30 in rural Ohio. With no service stations nearby and a heavy storm rolling in, he pulled into a grim little roadside motel called Blue Maple Inn. The neon vacancy sign buzzed with a sickly green flicker. The lobby was empty except for a frail woman who handed him a key without speaking a word. Room 6. It smelled like mildew and mothballs, the kind of smell that soaks into your luggage. Darren threw his suitcase on the bed, kicked off his shoes, and sat down with a sigh. Then he opened the drawer in the nightstand. He wasn't sure why, maybe looking for a Bible, maybe just out of habit, but instead he found a small doll lying on its back. At first glance, it looked handmade, worn yellow fur, floppy ears, stubby limbs, and a fixed grin that showed two tiny pointed teeth. Its eyes were too big for its face, glassy and scratched, like they'd been handled too often. A Labubo doll. He'd seen one before. His niece had a few. But why would someone leave one in a drawer? He set it on the dresser. Then I forgot about it. He ordered food, watched some reruns of Stars, and passed out by 10:45. At 3:07 a.m., he woke up gasping. The room was freezing. The alarm clock was blinking. The power was out. And the smoke detector was beeping loudly, screeching in short bursts like there was a fire. But there was no smoke. No fire. Nothing. Disoriented, Darren fumbled for his phone. It wouldn't unlock. The screen glitched violently, flickering white lines like static on a broken TV. Then he noticed something. The doll. The Labubo. It was no longer on the dresser. It was sitting on the foot of his bed. Its fur was wet, soaked, actually dripping onto the sheets. Darren sat still, paralyzed, his breath caught halfway up his throat. It wasn't there before. He was sure. He would have seen it. In a trembling motion, he grabbed it and flung it across the room. It hit the wall with a soft thud and landed near the door. The power flicked back on. Just like that, his phone vibrated with overdue notifications. The alarm clock reset. The room warmed up, and the doll was just there, lifeless. He didn't sleep again. By 6:30 a.m., he was in the lobby, key on the counter, bags packed. The old woman had returned. She didn't ask why he was leaving early, didn't say a word, just nodded slowly as he walked out. The moment he got home to Cincinnati, he tossed every piece of clothing from that motel stay into the wash. He never told anyone what happened, just wrote it off as some kind of stress-induced dream. Hallucination, maybe. He hadn't been sleeping well, but 5 days later, his wife found something strange on their kitchen counter. It was the Labubo doll, dry now, sitting upright just like before. He stared at it for a long time, unable to explain it. He hadn't taken it. He was sure of that. It had no business being in his house. He threw it in the trash. The next morning, it was sitting on the front steps. This time, it was holding something small in its lap. A matchstick. Darren told his wife the whole story. She thought he was joking until it happened again. Every time they threw it out, it came back. It never moved in front of them, but its position would change subtly each time. Once, it was propped on a windowsill. Another time, it was on the bathroom counter with its head tilted slightly to the side. One night, Darren locked it in the basement, inside a sealed box. He wrapped chains around it for good measure, just to be sure. Then he put the box inside a padlocked storage chest and duct taped the lid. 2 hours later, while brushing his teeth, he opened the bathroom cabinet and found the doll inside staring up at him with its endless, glassy eyes. That night, his wife took their 2 children and left for her mother's house. Darren didn't stop her. He started documenting it, setting up cameras, leaving it in one place and seeing if it moved. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't, but the most disturbing thing? It began mimicking his voice. One night, while reviewing the footage, he heard himself on camera whispering something. But it wasn't from his mouth. He was asleep. His voice came from the hallway just outside the frame. It said, "Don't lock me up again." He stopped filming after that. Eventually, he placed it inside a lead-lined toolbox, drove to the middle of Lake Erie on a charter boat, and dropped it into the water. He stayed there watching the spot for nearly an hour. Nothing surfaced. No bubbles, no splash, no sign. He went home. A week passed. Then, on Halloween night, there was a knock at the door. No one was there, but sitting on the welcome mat, soaking wet, was Labubo, with a matchstick, and a note written in his own handwriting. "Now you're mine." In the quiet hills of central Pennsylvania, nestled among pine forests and forgotten dirt roads, lived a man named Louis Graff, better known to locals as Old Lou. He was a retired woodcarver, a recluse who rarely came into town except to buy tobacco, matches, or wood varnish. People said he talked to himself. Some said he talked to his carvings. He lived alone in a weather-beaten cabin built by his grandfather. Most of the town assumed he was just eccentric. Lonely maybe, sad, but not dangerous, until the day a teenage girl vanished from the county fair. Her name was Avery, 16, bright, outgoing, the kind who would never just disappear. It sparked a week-long search across the hills and rivers surrounding the town. Helicopters scanned the forests, police dogs sniffed through the brush. Nothing. Then the whispers started. A hiker found something half buried near a creek, a wooden doll, shaped like a twisted forest creature. Huge ears, glass eyes, a smile carved too wide. A Labubo replica but hand-whittled, with unnatural precision. Its face was disturbingly realistic. Too realistic. It looked like Avery. They brought it into town, and someone remembered. Old Lou sold similar dolls at his market stand years ago before he stopped showing up. A deputy and a local ranger paid him a visit. They didn't find Avery, but they found hundreds of dolls. Stacked in rows, hanging from beams, sitting on dusty shelves, all over the cabin. All of them hand-carved. All of them are Labubo. Each doll had a name painted in fine script on the bottom of one foot. Many were names of people who had gone missing over the last 3 decades. Not just locals, names from other towns, other states. When questioned, Louis said only this: "They come to me in the dark. I don't choose who. I just listen." He was arrested, of course, but the investigation led to no bodies, no hard evidence, no proof of wrongdoing. The dolls, according to specialists, were just carvings. Intricate, but nothing illegal. He was released under supervision. His house was locked up and sealed as a potential crime scene. But here's where it gets worse. 6 months later, a group of high school kids broke into Louis's cabin on a dare. They recorded it to blur cell phone footage of them walking through the house, mocking the dolls, laughing nervously, until one of them found the wrong one. A Labubo figure, slightly larger than the others, with something off about its eyes. Instead of glass or buttons, they were actual camera lenses. They traced the wiring into the floorboards and found a tiny surveillance system of dozens of tapes cataloged with names and dates. Some of the tapes showed people sleeping. Others showed children playing in backyards. A few showed things worse than that. Louis was arrested again. This time for stalking, illegal surveillance, child endangerment. But when authorities returned to collect the dolls, the house had burned down. No arson signs, no accelerant, no bodies, no dolls, just ash. Except for one thing. A single doll, unburnt, was found standing upright on a rock about 20 feet from the ruins. It was wet, as if recently washed. Its smile was broader, and on the bottom of its foot, scorched but legible, was a name no one recognized. Deputy Kellner. That same night, Deputy Kellner disappeared, gone without a trace. His cruiser was abandoned near the ridge overlooking the woods. No signs of struggle, only a small charred indentation on the passenger seat. Authorities tried to pin it on Louis again, but he was still in custody under camera surveillance at the county jail. There were no accomplices, no clues. The legend exploded after that. People in neighboring towns claimed to see similar dolls left at their doorsteps. A woman in Lancaster reported one on her kitchen table when she woke up, though she lived alone and all her windows had been locked from the inside. Another man found a Labubo under his bed, clutching an old photo of his brother who had vanished in 2004. And then the dreams began. Multiple reports surfaced of people having vivid nightmares of a man carving dolls in a pitch-black cabin lit only by candlelight. They said he hummed as he carved. Some dreamt he whispered to the wood. One woman said she woke up at 3:13 a.m. with wood shavings in her bed and a sliver embedded in her finger. She lived in Arizona. The FBI allegedly took interest, but the public never saw a statement. Old Lou died in jail 6 weeks later. Heart failure. Peaceful, according to guards. But that very night, something strange happened. Surveillance footage from the evidence locker room showed a shadow moving across the shelves, slow and deliberate. The lights flickered, and for exactly 12 seconds, the cameras shut off. When they came back on, 3 Labubo dolls were missing. The only 3 that had survived the original search. And on the table, a message carved into the wood. The forest remembers. The wood never forgets. No one knows where the dolls are now. Some say they're in homes, back in circulation through thrift stores and flea markets. Others think they never left. They're just waiting, smiling, listening. That was another true story. If you're still watching, you're one of the brave ones. Most don't make it this far. Subscribe to Horror Stories and hit the bell because the next horror stories drop soon. Stay scared. Stay safe. We'll see you in the dark.